interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Yo, it's Remember the Show. Slick with the flows, where the sparring can go. Who's gonna be on, man, you never will know. Guess you better tune in, cause we live from Chicago. Belal Muhammad, that's the king of the tweets. Jason Anik looks like John, step his hands to his feet. Every Thursday, we gon' give you a treat. It's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat. And retweet, and retweet, and retweet. And retweet, it's Remember the Show, hit play and repeat.
Live from New York City, it is Remember the Show, episode 81. Belal Muhammad in front of me. So great to see you, my brother. We missed you last week. The show was not the same without my man Belal. Dude, I cannot wait to talk about UFC 281. My boots are down in New York City. Our great executive producer, Cody Merrow, in the other room. The doll just came in. We're all in the same house. I love it. How are you, my brother?
What's up, my brother? Man, I know I'm so mad right now that I'm not out there. I'm like, I should have went. I should have set it up. I should have set the date. God dang it. But, yeah, I know it's going to be fun. I'm happy that you guys are there. You're already looking like John, so I'm
dude.
going to be at the desk.
Dude, yeah, right. So I cut off some of my hair, right? So and it's cold here, obviously. I'm living in South Florida. So when I'm walking around, I'm wearing a winter hat. So Cody and I are walking around last night. John was doing some press conference or whatever. So we're going to meet John and we're walking. I have my winter hat on, right? And you can be sure I just did this for you, bully. It's like, that's John Anik right there, right? That's John Anik. Sorry, shaking the table. So we're walking, and obviously there are times where I've been recognized, but I could actually pull it off now because I got no hair on the side. So I had a winter hat. We walk by these guys like, John Anik, right? So I just keep walking. They keep screaming my name. I get like 10 feet by them, put my fist in the air. They're like, yeah! I'm like, like that. And people always say to John and I, like, oh, when you were younger, did you, fool people, do things like that? We're like, we never did that ever. But, in this environment, it's kind of fun. So then we come up on John. He's out front of MSG waiting to meet us. And there are some fans there. And so I had a couple drinks in me, bully. I'm not going to lie to you. So I see John with these fans and I'm like, all right. So I basically go running up. I got my hat on. I'm like, that's not John Anik. I'm John Anik, right?
No way.
Yeah. And they're like, what is going on? I guess they sort of knew what was going on. So it was pretty funny. But anyway, I'm having fun with it now. But it's fun to be here. In terms of going to the event, like I'm probably just going to sort of hang with John, try and sort of follow him in. But wish you were here, buddy. But you're playing in a basketball tournament this weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. We got a charity basketball game working with Muslims of the world. They got a nice, cool thing going on Saturday. So I'll be sweating while you're out there enjoying some amazing fights. But yeah, it's at 3:30. So I'm like, bro, I gotta find a place to watch the fights. I'm hoping that I'll make it back home in time. It's like a 3-hour drive, so I'm gonna try to hurry up, speed out of there, and get it back home just so I can watch the fights in the comfort of my home.
So I'm gonna stay here on the basketball for a sec because I know there's very limited footage of the fight week basketball game. You know what I mean? It's like Daniel Cormier has hand selected the footage that he wants out there. But I saw some nice footage of Belal, moving without the basketball, some nice finishes. So for me, like clearly you can play. You're probably pretty excited, I would see, to showcase your skills here.
Yeah, for sure. Like everybody's telling me, oh, just cancel. Let's go to the fights. I'm like, bro, no. Like basketball is, like you said, that was my favorite sport from growing up. That was my thing. And yeah, just to be able to do that, like you said, showing people too, because you got so many people, oh bro, you talk about it, but you ain't really good. So it's always good. And man, I really want to set something up where we make it like a regular thing where we have the fighters going against each other, man, because I think it'll be fun, it'll be good, and it'll just bring more views to it.
I agree, and some sort of charity event too. I think there's so much potential for that. All right, so we'll backtrack a little bit. Let's get to Cain Velasquez, who is free on $1 million bail, which is just bananas. Obviously, the whole thing is complete madness. One just bite for me. I guess DC said like his 4-year-old son stayed home from school and was like laying on the floor with him during the day. It's like just warms your heart. It's obviously a crazy situation, but I'm sure you're happy to see Cain Velasquez released and as he should be.
Yeah, that's amazing. Finally, I felt like it should have happened way earlier. DC was talking about it. And he was saying that he got a new judge now, and obviously this judge is a better judge because he understands what Cain Velasquez did. Like this guy he shouldn't be in jail with these guys. And just to be able to see his family, hopefully he'll be there for the holidays with them. there's no better feeling than it. And being with those guys, training with Habib and Javier Mendez and all of them, and like just to hear how they all talked about him when I was over there, because you're asking questions, have you seen him and this and that, and like how much they say he's such a good guy and what he does for all of them. So I'm sure everybody is just so happy that he's finally out. Cormier was saying after this fight, he's going to go straight home and see him. He FaceTimed him. So that's cool. And it's, it's amazing that it's like perfect time for all this to happen. Like I said, right around the holidays for him and his family.
Good point. I'm with you. I love it. Well, we're going to get through topics pretty quick tonight because UFC 281 is absolutely bananas, and I can't wait. I haven't talked to you about any of these fights. I can't wait. We're going to touch on Anderson Silva, Jake Paul. I got to be honest with you. For me, watching Anderson Silva compete in this type of arena at 47 years old, you're not really going to get my money. I didn't see it. So I'm just kind of curious. Did you see it? And what are your thoughts, Anderson Silva? I guess he did himself pretty proud, but your thoughts?
Yeah, I saw it. And it was a pretty good fight. It was competitive. And like you said, he's 47 years old. Jake, I feel like he finally proved himself. There's still people out there that are not giving respect. People out there are still saying that it's rigged, yada, yada, yada. But, he showed some good stuff in there. And to have a guy like Anderson Silva, I don't care how old he is, like when he gets into his mode of moving in front of you, that movement's just different. It's so cool to see because he'll read you for the first minute of the round. And then all of a sudden, once he starts picking it up, you're like, oh, crap. But then people are like, oh, why was he throwing punching the whole time? Like, bro, he's still 47 years old. He's not in the shape that he used to be in. And he doesn't have just that knockout punch power. And I do think that punch landed flush that Jake hit him with. Like, I hate to see Anderson Silva lose to Jake Paul, but, like, you got to respect Jake Paul. He's getting better. He's working hard. And I think now it's finally time for him to fight a boxer or Nate Diaz. I think Nate Diaz makes the most sense. I think that would be a great fight. And honestly, to me, if I'm thinking about it, like I'm thinking Jake Paul is going to beat him. Like I just feel like he's going to be a lot faster, better in shape, younger. He's taking it serious. And
I agree.
I feel like Anderson Silva is going to be a harder test than Nate Diaz would be in boxing. So like I'm very interested to see where he goes with it next. I don't know about the whole tanking of the pay-per-views. Like I don't know what they were expecting or not expecting. I just think that he needs a more competitive name for him to really sell pay-per-views. That whole your whole YouTube fan base is not just going to keep following you anymore. And it's so easy just to stream fights nowadays that you have you have to really, like, you're making fun of Dana White and everything all this time, but, like, they know how to do it. They know how to make it harder for you to stream them. They know where the money comes in, and it's just not an easy business.
So, obviously, we're talking about here who Jake Paul's fighting next, and we'll skip over. Yeah, I want to know who Belal Muhammad's fighting next. So, obviously the holiday season in North America, Thanksgiving, Christmas, it sort of is a slow time, if you will. So I'm just curious, any rumblings? I know you're not breaking news on Remember the Show, but I'm excited to see you fight again. At least can I ask you, when would you like to get back in there?
For me, it's based off of when the heck they do this Usman and Edwards fight. I want to be on that same card. Like I said, I don't want to be sitting out waiting. I don't want to go before that. I don't want to be the guy that says, oh, let me wait for the winner. Like me and Hamzat make the most sense. And I think that me against him on that same card makes the most sense. But they haven't booked a date for that one yet. I see Usman looks like he's training. He looks like he's healthy again. So I'm hoping that they'll start doing something soon with that. But, yeah, I want to be on that same card as the champion. And I just think that I've earned that right.
100%. And I said, if Kamaru wants a little more time, that's fine. Belal can rematch, the champ. That's fine. Yeah,
and that's the thing too, right? It's like we have history. There's a storyline behind it.
Yes.
I know they're thirsty for the trilogy fight with them too. But me and Kamaru haven't fought, so I go out there. I win the title from Leon. I'll give Kamaru a shot at it, and we'll go.
Perfect. I'm with you. Well, anyway, we are now to where we need to be. Next topic, UFC and NYC. We're going to pick the whole main card. Cody, if we can figure out these technical issues, I hope you'll join us. But let's get to Bullies Vicks, UFC 281. Let's go. All right. So Cody Merrow, you managed to get the dog out of here, I think, and close the door without me even noticing. Very impressive. Anyway, I cannot wait for this fight card, Bully. And it's interesting. When I said I might sneak in with John, his wife is coming in town to go to the fight. So John gets a couple tickets each fight. So she's going with her brother to the fights. And it's kind of a weird dynamic with the UFC. It's not like I can just go watch. But as you know, there's different relationships built. It's like you got Ian Parker, former Anik and Florian podcast guy on the ESPN desk. So if, Belal Muhammad's good at sneaking into arenas. It's like if I can get in the building, I'll find a place to sit. Anyway.
Bro, did I tell you that with the Bulls, courtside seats?
Yeah.
So
no way.
So that like the Bulls gave me courtside seats, and the guy was like trying to sell me on them, to buy them. So like he was like, yeah, give me free tickets to the game to watch it, and then he was trying to sell me on those courtside seats, and he was like, yeah, so there's 33 games left in the season. For the courtside seats, it'll be $157,000. And bro, I was like, oh, that's not bad. Okay. Okay, yeah, yeah. He's like, so is there anything holding you back from purchasing them today? And I was like, oh, I gotta talk to my accountant and we gotta work some stuff out. But I'm like, bro, first of all, like $157,000 for 33 games. I'm not gonna go to 33 games, and it's like $157,000.
Exactly.
And in fact, he asked me if I could just buy them today, and he was like, the way he asked too, he was like, yeah, we could you could put them on multiple credit cards too. Like you have to pay it all up front. And I was like, bro, if I have to put that on multiple credit cards, I shouldn't be buying it. Like, why would you ask me that right now?
Unbelievable. Well, hey, once you're getting that championship money, you're still not going to have time to go to 33 games, but maybe it's just one swipe. Never know. All right, so this fight card is electric. Is he John Anik twin brother or something? Yes, thanks for joining us. Yes, I am. Identical twin. Appreciate you joining us. Yeah, we've been here for a minute, 2 years on this program. Anyway, first fight we're going to pick in the lightweight division. Cody, you going to join us, or is it not going to be possible here?
I got you. I'm here.
Oh, you sound terrific in these AirPods.
It face Cody.
A baby face.
What's up? Yeah.
Coming down in age for this episode.
So, Cody, how did the first 12 minutes go with me on my iPhone? And decent,
it was great.
It
was never any technical difficulties to remember the show. We just rolled the punches,
baby. I love it. Yeah, exactly. All right, so first fight we're going to pick. First fight in the pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken, lightweight bout. Dan Hooker, Claudio Puelles. So Hooker, man, this guy's been around, only 32 years old, which kind of surprised me, but he's lost 4 or 5. Bunch of killers this guy's faced, though. It's crazy. I mean, Chandler, Poirier, Makhachev, obviously even Arnold Allen when his last down to featherweight. So Puelles, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, 5-0 in the UFC, unranked fighter. His debut was May of 2018. He submitted his last 2 opponents. He's the underdog here. And with the utmost respect for Dan Hooker, he's been around a long time. I don't know if championship is Hooker's ceiling. Claudio is the underdog. I think there's a little juice here. Bully, start us out. First fight of the main card. Who do you like?
Yeah, man, this is an exciting fight right here. When I'm thinking of Dan Hooker, like you said, he's on a, kind of like a losing streak right now, but look at the guys he's faced. He's faced nothing but monsters. Even the Islam fight was a short notice fight. When you hear his coaches and them talking, saying that when you look back at the whole COVID era, they couldn't train. They had so much difficulties. Like when they fought here, they know they couldn't come back home for like 3 or 4 months. So that whole scenario was like messed up for them. I don't know if that hurt his career or not hurt his career. Maybe he should have just took off those 2 years, but it's like, you got to make money. But I mean, I'm glad that he went back up to lightweight, like 145. He just didn't look healthy. He didn't look happy. It just looked terrible. But he's going against the killer here. Puelles' ground game is another level. We saw what he did to Clay Guida. That knee bar was just sick. He's a bigger guy. He's not afraid to get punched in the face. And just his grappling sequences. He'll go from this submission to that submission to that submission. Jared Gordon trains with him at Sanford MMA. Jared said, bro, his ground game is another level. Hooker, when you're thinking about him, he's more of a striker. Let's bang it out on the feet. Ground game, we've seen him get taken down before. He has a decent ground game. He has a couple of submissions, but he's not on the same level as Puelles. It comes down to how much Hooker's evolved. He's been out a little bit now. Is his takedown defense there? Is his head straight now? Mentally coming off losses like that when you were so close to the title. Like, I think if it would have been Poirier, he would have been probably next in line for a title fight or somewhere near that time. So going from there to now you're on a big losing streak. Where's your confidence level at? I know he was on an interview with I forgot the guy's name. It's not really a great show, but it was an interview. So, but he sounded confident. He sounded good. You're on a same show as your teammates, and you got a whole family down here with you. So I'm gonna go with Hooker here. I just think that all the momentum there is there for him to win this fight.
Bone Marrow, who do you got?
Well, I love that because I am not heavy on Claudio Puelles here, but I am friends with Claudio. We have a connected friend in Cote Cruz, so shout out Cote Cruz down there in Latin America. And I just feel like, as you said, he trades with Jared. He's at Killcliff FC. He's doing all the right things, and he's only getting better. He's at the point in his career where you're making incremental, jumps week after week after week. I don't know if I can say the same for Hooker. He's not long in the tooth, but, for somebody his age, he's had a lot of UFC fights and a lot of UFC fights that have ended up with him having a long recovery period, which, as we know, you don't get your chin back, as time goes on. Another thing that gives me pause too is whilst it's easy to sit here and say, oh, well, I'm not going to be emotionally invested. Like if my teammates fight, it's not going to impact me or whatever. Olberg is only a -130 favorite. Riddell, I think, is a little bit wider in the odds, but who knows what the vibe in that locker room is like, as Dan Hooker goes out there. Do I really think that's going to impact him? Not really. I think he's a samurai. I think he's the kind of guy who that probably won't impact, but who's to say? So I think there's a lot of value here in Puelles here at +125. I'd be surprised if the line stays there, if it's not going to be closer by the time the fight goes down. But I hate to bet against Dan Hooker. I love the guy. I'd love to have a beer with him, but I just think Claudio's going to have too much for him.
I like it. I like always great when you're on opposite sides. So moving right along in the bantamweight division, Frankie Edgar will make his final run. And I say run to the octagon because dude doesn't walk. Anyone who caught the press conference yesterday, it's just special seeing Frankie Edgar. He really has been around so long and is just such a ambassador and legend of the sport. Just unbelievable looking at the history and the guys he's fought, and obviously Chris Gutierrez, the guy he's fighting, who's a 2-1 favorite, hasn't fought anybody, yet he hasn't been defeated in the octagon. I think 8 appearances, 7 wins and a draw. I'm a little sad about Frankie being done. I would love nothing more than to see him win this fight in some way. It's been some tough visuals in some of these last fights for Frankie, but what a great career. My brother will absolutely be getting an FE tattoo within the next 5 months, sort of as a tribute to him. The 209 Nate Diaz tattoo, that was a bet, but this one, he's been saying forever when Frankie retired, he's going to honor him that way, and I love it. I don't know where my head is. My heart is certainly with Frankie. Cody, why don't you start us with the bantamweight bout?
Well, I'll start off because, Jay, this is a fighter that everybody just loves to watch. It's one of those guys who you don't want to bet on the fight because you just want to enjoy the fight. So it's really tough to come out here. I live in Jersey. As you know, we're here in New York City area. Obviously, the place is going to be rocking for Frankie, but I just don't see it. I want it. I want it so badly for him. +185, I think, is a good number for Frankie in this situation, but I just really don't see it. I don't see Gutierrez going out there and being like a world beater or anything like that. I just think he's going to be too much for Frankie in this fight. You mentioned the press conference, Jay. I didn't think that Frankie, looked great in the press conference, but who's to say he doesn't walk in tomorrow and look really good at the weigh-ins? So I'd be looking out for that, but I got to lean with the Chris Gutierrez -230 here.
Wow.
You can't go against the answer freaking Frankie Edgar right now, bro. This is a retirement fight. You're going to pick against him. My first fight I ever went to was Frankie Edgar against Great Maynard.
I think Ali just knocked at the door. Like I'm.
The first fight I ever went to was Great Maynard against Frankie Edgar, part 2 when they got the draw. That was my first fight. Frankie Edgar is, like you said, a legend. He's fought some of the best guys in the world. Even when you're looking at the guys he's lost to recently, like all of them are top contenders. They're all right there next to the title, and he was actually beating Chito Vera before he got caught with that kick. I think that 2 minutes, 3 minutes left in that fight, he would have won that fight. He had a good, game plan for that fight. But with this fight, he's not the biggest name, but Gutierrez, he's tough. But I think it's a good fight for Frankie. I think Frankie could use his wrestling, take him down. Gutierrez has very good kicks. Frankie Edgar could catch those kicks and run him down with his double leg. He doesn't have the most powerful hands. So I think if Frankie Edgar gets in his boxing range where Gutierrez can't use those low kicks on him, Frankie Edgar could pick him apart a little bit. So I'm hoping that he does that. I'm hoping that he uses the wrestling. I'm hoping that he gets on top. And I'm hoping it's a great retirement fight for Frankie gets a W.
I love it. I love it.
And if I could just jump in. So if you look at this comment here, I'm pretty sure that's John because I didn't write that. And there's only 2 people with the Anik and Florian podcast log.
No way. No way.
Yeah. So I think
What's up,
John's
John?
got some free time on his hands.
Yeah, send him the link.
But,
That's funny. Go ahead.
I will caveat by saying I love the over. I think this fight probably goes to a decision, which I think is awesome for Frankie to be able to go out there and have a performance. But, I think this does go over or to a decision as well.
I hear you. So the featured bout, it's fine. So this lightweight fight, Poirier Chandler, this reminds me in Jacksonville back in May. It feels kind of like Burns Chimaev, which were, there were 2 title fights on that card, but Burns Chimaev was the fight that was that featured bout. And I'm telling you that arena, that was the fight. This one, I can't wait. I have no idea what's going to happen with this fight. I know Chandler tends to be very aggressive. A lot of people, want him to maybe be a little more composed. I have no idea. I just can't fucking wait for it. Excuse my language. Bully. I'm dying to know who you're going to pick. Poirier, 2-1 favorite. Talk to me. Who do you got in this electric bout?
Bro, this fight right here, like literally, I would have just paid for the pay-per-view just for this one fight. Dude, it's going to be amazing. It's going to be fireworks for however long it lasts. I do think that someone's going to get finished in this fight. I think it's going to be a war, but I don't think there's going to be any wrestling. A lot of people are saying Chandler's going to go on his wrestling. Poirier has pretty good takedown defense when you think about it. When you look back at his career, he has a good guillotine. I don't think Chandler right now. I think Chandler right now is at that point where he's doing whatever he can to get that money fight with McGregor. Whatever he goes out there, he wants to have an exciting fight. Obviously, you're at Madison Square Garden. The last time he was there, he had one of the fights of the year. So I think he wants to replay that type of fight style. But Poirier is a dog, and Poirier's been in so many of those fights, and he can do that for 5 rounds. I think Poirier has the cardio advantage here because Chandler, he throws everything at you that first round. So if Poirier gets past that storm, I think Poirier's volume, his left hand, his right hook, it's gonna land a little bit more, and he's gonna start picking him apart with his boxing. So I'm gonna pick Poirier here.
The Diamond, Cody, talk to me.
Right hook. Gonna land a little bit more, and he's gonna start picking up.
Let's go.
Billy sucks.
Talk to me.
Right hook. He's gonna land a little bit more, and he's gonna start picking up.
What's up, buddy?
Hey guys. Sorry, I just had to close some other windows. Sorry about chastising Philadelphia in the comments, but I just got back to my room from Barstool Sports headquarters. I tuned in to remember the show. And I heard you guys talking a little bit about Chris Gutierrez and Frankie Edgar and thought I might be able to add some context to the conversation. But I really just wanted to see my man Belal remember the name Muhammad in his show setting. So it's good to see you guys. But I just real quick on Frankie and Chris Gutierrez. So Chris Gutierrez seemed to take exception with something Frankie Edgar said to him like 9 years ago at a regional event. Now, Frankie had no context for this, no recollection of this. But now there's sort of this underbelly of bad blood between these two fighters, and I think it makes the matchup more compelling. Frankie was definitely caught off guard by whatever accusation this was from Chris Gutierrez, and I'm going to just leave it down at that. But Cody was talking about maybe not loving the vibe from Frankie. I'm just telling you, like, there is friction between these two guys that did not exist prior to the press conference, for whatever that's worth.
Bro, you got to tell us what he said to him.
I can't do that, but I will tell you privately. But in terms of what actually was said, you can believe Chris or you can believe Frankie, whatever it is. But, yeah, I mean, it was something that was kind of inflammatory that Chris did not take too lightly to. And candidly, Chris Gutierrez was only asked one question at the press conference. So perhaps if he had been asked more questions, you might have seen those two engage and perhaps it would have come to the forefront. But, yeah, Gutierrez is going in there one motivated individual Saturday night.
Wow. Hey, get me more hyped up than Chandler Poirier right now.
Hey, if you're wondering why I left, Cody's dog wants to be with me.
Well, I just have to tell you guys before I get on out of here, I just left Barstool Sports, and it's really cool to see a show like Pardon My Take really get hyped about UFC 281. They're one of the biggest sports podcasts in the world, but I went on their 3rd episode when they were just getting going, so that was pretty cool. But they did ask me a question about the Patriots quarterback, Mac Jones. They said, I got to know as a New Englander, like, what do you think about Mac? And rest assured, on a massive platform, I just absolutely eviscerated Mac Jones. So I love you guys. Bully, you're the man. Philadelphia sucks. Have a great rest of the show.
Good to see you, bro. That's where I should be sitting doing the show anyway. But, yeah, Bully, he ain't coming on. He's coming on to see you. He don't want to see me. He's seen enough of me and Cody. You can be sure. I can't hear Bully.
Bro,
now I hear
when I was listening to the podcast, the Anik and Florian show, and he just went so hard on Philly, I was like, man, so he does hate Philly too. Because at first I'm thinking we're just making it for the Paul Felder, and he would just tell me that he'll just text me, Philly sucks. But now I see that he has it's really inside of him that really hates Philly.
Yeah, but dude, you're a killer, so you can talk a little more shit. He's been running his mouth his whole life. You got to be careful. People coming at him, you know? We go to DraftKings yesterday to film something. The dude is like from Philly. Oh, see, we like having the director right here. He's giving me a light because, as we know, the sun is setting in New York City. Will the sun be setting on the current strawweight champion is the question. So, dude, Carla Esparza, it's like, I got to be honest, I don't even necessarily remember 2014 when she won the first title, right? But she is the strawweight champion right now. Zhang Weili, former champ, minus 330. And I know Cody will put up the line in a sec, but minus 330 over the champ. So Esparza's won 6 in a row quietly. Obviously, she beat Rose in May. Well documented, one of the worst fights of all time. Cody has a very strong opinion on this fight, Belal. I've been hearing about it for 24 hours. So I'm going to let him lead. So wait, one more thing I want to say though first. Daniel Cormier literally has said like Zhang Weili's the best athlete ever. Not across any sport. Like literally thinks so much of her athleticism. So I think that's interesting. But Cody, lead us off. Talk to Bully. Tell him what you think is happening here.
Well, I got shortchanged being the producer of the show, but I do love Michael Chandler at the plus underdog money. I think that fight should be way closer. And Belal, I do have a question to ask you about that. So obviously it's Southpaw versus Orthodox in that matchup. Am I wrong? Am I correct?
Yeah.
So do you think that leads Michael Chandler to maybe go for that easy single, maybe more than he would if it was, Orthodox? Like, I think the wrestling's going to play a factor in this fight, which makes me feel like the line should be a lot closer.
No, I mean, I don't think you would. Like, even with Chandler, his wrestling is more double legs anyway. And it's just so much harder to get single legs on guys in MMA. And not a lot of guys know how to use the single leg the right way. Obviously, Chandler has really good wrestling accolades. But, like, all of his movements are power movements, power doubles, power pickups, everything like that. So, like, I just think that Poirier is going to see him more. And Chandler, I think that he'd rather save that energy for freaking throwing hands than holding Poirier down or taking him down. Like, I don't think he wants that. I don't think stylistically.
Right. He doesn't
it's
play
an easier
like
path to victory for him, but like, Chandler, he wants to put on a show.
Yeah. Agreed. All right. So moving on.
Yes.
As Jay said, I don't understand this line whatsoever. And a lot of people that I've been talking to have agreed with me, like minus 330 for Zhang Weili here feels like taking candy from a baby. But more than that, the under 4.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook is at a plus number right now. I believe it's at a plus number still. Maybe it's at like
isn't it like minus 120? I don't think it's plus. But.
Okay, so it's minus 120. I don't understand how anybody thinks Carla is going to last longer than 10 minutes. And the odds for Zhang Weili to win by KO or TKO in the first 2 rounds, it's plus 400 to finish in round 1, plus 650 to finish in round 2. And for the fight not to make it to round 3, I think it was like plus 150, 160 or something like that. So I'm not really bullish when I come out a lot of the times about fights. Like, it's really hard to pick sides, and we work in this industry. You don't want to piss anybody off, but I don't see a world where Carla can go in there and survive for longer than 15 minutes against Weili. I think she gets it done within the 7.5. So I like the under 2.5 there. I think Zhang Weili gets it done. If she doesn't get it done in the first, I'll be Surprised, but I think she finishes Carla Esparza early.
Fully.
No respect for the champ. Style, like you said, styles make fights. I think stylistically, Weili's just way faster, way stronger than Carla. And confidence-wise, like, I don't know where Carla's head's at, man. Just to be, like, at a press conference and everybody's booing you. Like, I can feel her getting emotional and seeing in her eyes that, like, she's not comfortable in that. And, the fans over there in New York, they're ruthless. Like, she's going to walk out and they're going to boo her no matter what. So,
crazy.
Walking down, it's going to – I think she's the type that it'll affect her a little bit. And it's really not her fault when you're thinking about that last fight. Like, it was Rose's fault as well. It's on both of them. Yeah, like, both of them, there was no action from either one of them that whole fight. And for her, she was thinking she was winning. So, like, you can't put blame on her. And you just feel bad for her, honestly. But I think Weili's going to end up being the champion after this. Like you said, I think she's going to end up finishing her. She's just way too fast, way too strong. You saw what she did to Francis Ngannou. Like, why are you doing that? Like, where's your coach at? Like, why are you picking up Francis?
Right.
Needs to yell at her.
Coach is Henry, and it's Eric Albarracin in the corner. And he's like, yeah, just go fucking tackle Francis.
Yeah, just do it, whatever.
God, it's like, but if I'm Zhang Weili, it's like, yeah, I mean, wouldn't you want Rose? I understand this might be, and look, I'm not crowning her until she gets through Carla, but I hope she gets an opportunity there because those back-to-back losses are always going to be there. Should we get to the main event, boys? Excited for this one too. You can be sure. So, middleweight title fight: Israel Adesanya, Anik Pereira. So this guy's fought 3 times in the UFC. 3-0, getting the title shot. Belal win like 10 in a row. Come on,
bro.
Right? So well documented 2 head-to-head kickboxing wins against Adesanya for Pereira. It's been talked about. Plenty of people think that matters. Plenty of people think it doesn't. Israel Adesanya, well documented that he needs this one. His last finish in the octagon, Paulo Costa, September of 2020. A lot of noise out there about Adesanya and these boring fights, whatever it is. I'm fascinated by this matchup. I'm interested by it. I don't think it's possible for this to be boring, in my opinion. Bully, lead us off. Main event, Izzy minus 205, Pereira plus 175.
Man, this fight right here is about to be, like you said, it's not going to be boring at all. When you're looking at styles, the way they both fight. Yeah, Izzy, he played it safe a couple of his fights, but it's like, Cannonier didn't do nothing. Like, you expected Cannonier to go out there, be in your face the whole time, and if it would have happened that way, I think Izzy would have finished him. Kind of like the Costa, where Costa moved forward and Izzy catches you moving forward. He counters you really well. He's a master of distance. He understands where he can get hit, where he can't get hit. He's got great footwork, and I think that he has better footwork for MMA than Pereira does. I was rewatching the Pereira against Bruno Silva. Bruno Silva was catching him hard. Catching him a lot. He was even catching Bruno Silva with some hard hooks, but Bruno Silva was still standing. The only person to drop Bruno Silva was my man GM3, but whatever, he's a genius.
Yes.
Care about his hands. But yeah, when you're looking at those styles, yeah, he knocked out Sean Strickland, and people are giving him so much credit for that, but Sean Strickland sucks. Like, who are we kidding? Like, he beats guys because he just walks forward and gets hit, and then he walks through those punches.
Well, but he did spar that kid from Nelk, though, that got slapped by Nate Diaz, so.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Bro,
but dude,
I'm just saying, he gets so much credit for that, and I'm like, bro, he sucks. But Pereira's a beast. Like, obviously, he could land that one punch. His hook is very good. I don't really take nothing from the kickboxing fights because the first one could have went either way. The second one, Adesanya was very close to finishing him, and then, you get caught. That's what happens. I do think it's very personal for Adesanya. You can tell just like in the way he talks that, he knows that he needs to go out there and put on a show. He knows that he needs to know how to finish him. And, man, just looking at that back at that second kickboxing fight when Pereira's son was, like, making in front of him, I was like, bro, like, you have to see that all the time. And I wonder how much older his son is now that he's probably going to see him. He's going to be looking at him like, yeah, I'm about to trip this little kid. But stylistically, mental-wise, I think Izzy's there for it. He's been in such bigger fights. He's fought some of the best guys in the world. And like you said, when you're looking at the resumes in MMA, Izzy's fought all the best guys at 185, 205. He's fought Jan. Pereira really hasn't fought anybody that's close to any of the levels of the guys that Izzy's fought. And I also do think that Izzy's the type that'll come out there and wrestle. He's not afraid to wrestle. And Pereira jumps in with that hook. He moves forward a lot. So I can see Izzy catching him with a hook or even coming out there shooting on you and making you just give you another thing to think about. Like, he's so good at MMA and game planning that he figures you out and figures out ways to beat you, that I can see them coming out here and playing the wrestling game for a couple rounds and then striking you on your feet, using his kicks to keep the distance. And then Pereira is going to start getting antsy and want to rush in, and then he gets knocked out with the left hook.
I'd love to see an Israel Adesanya finish. I really would. So, Bully, before we get to Cody, I mean, do you expect, if you were forced to bet, would you expect Adesanya, would you expect it to go to the distance, or you think he finishes it?
I think it's going to end up being a finish because if it gets to the later rounds, I don't think Pereira's the type that'll sit back. I think Pereira's the type that he like, if he loses the first couple rounds by points, he's going to rush, try to get a finish, and then that's where Adesanya flourishes because he wants you to come out there, get a little bit wild, get a little bit out of character, and then that's when he pinpoints his accuracy and knocks you out.
Love it. Cody, talk to me. You going the same way? You're going dog?
Well, it's tough when you're up here against the #1 ESPN MMA picks analyst and Belal Muhammad. The guy hits over 60-65% of his fights. Go look at the picks. Just go look at the numbers. Exactly. It's hard to go against the guy, right? Right?
Yes.
Wrong, because I got to go against him here. I got to play contrarian because Israel Adesanya has to be perfect for 25 minutes. Alex Pereira has to be perfect for 1 second. I think Alex Pereira has the touch of death. 30-foot octagon, MSG, the big show. I agree, Bully. I think Izzy, you can tell that he's put in the work. You can tell that he's taken this as seriously as he needs to. And I'd be lying if I wasn't a little jaded from the fact that I was at Adesanya and Cannonier, and that fight was terrible. So I just can't get it out of my head, the image of, maybe Pereira catching him, and then that's all she wrote. He sets up the rematch just like in the kickboxing match. I don't think you can take anything from the kickboxing match. It was too long ago, two completely different fighters. But O Brasilio vence e novo campeão. Give me Alex Pereira plus 175. And
what'd you just say?
I said the Brazilian wins and new champion. O Brasilio vence e novo campeão.
Pretty good, pretty well pronounced, I'm sure, as well. Anyway, this fight card, I can't wait, Bully, man. So are you going to be in New York in 2 weeks for Kayla Harrison or what? Is that why you're not coming this weekend? No. Isn't that November 25th?
You just reminded me. God dang it, Jason.
Sorry. I'm the president of Team Muhammad. That might be the first time I've ever crossed you. Literally.
I mean, hey, Belal's an amazing wrestler, but I'd rather wrestle Belal than Kayla, to be honest.
Do you think Izzy comes out with a walkout tomorrow or Saturday? I want to see if he comes out. If he comes out normal, then that just tells me that it's really in his head and he's really on point. But if he comes out with one of those crazy walkouts or a dance or something like that, that tells me his confidence, his swag is still there. So
interesting point. I hear you.
So which one
is off of that as well?
Which one would give you the more pause?
If he comes out there with not just a normal just walkout, I think that'll give me a little bit pause. It makes me a little bit.
I agree.
Bruce Buffer told me once that if he could bet the moment after, when he fist touches guys, if he could bet the second that he walks out, that he'd be 95%. I feel like you can tell a lot from the walkout. So I think that's a good point.
Well, it's interesting. Yeah, I was thinking about Dan Hooker. It's I don't like betting MMA, and I don't. But Dan Hooker, if I was going to bet on that fight, I wouldn't touch it until I saw him come out, until I see him weigh in, and I want to see him physically. Anyway. Well, another Remember the Show in the can, episode 81. Appreciate you, those of you who joined us live as usual. We made it work, Cody. A little technical difficulties off the top. I got fucking papers here and everything, but we made it work. Bully, always great to see you. So for Cody Merrow and the 4th-ranked UFC welterweight future champion Belal, remember the name Muhammad. I'm Jason Anik. We'll see you next Thursday night. Appreciate it.
My brother, peace.